In today's episode, we're talking about a case of very disturbing child abuse, so just be warned before we begin. Welcome, lambs. Welcome to your midweek mini episode. If you're new here, hi, my name is Kai, and I invite you to listen to this episode till the end, and if you like it, then go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any more true crime episodes. If you're a returning lamb, thank you so much for your support. As I always tell you, it means the world to me. Before we begin, I want to remind you that this episode and all my episodes are sponsored by my lambs in Patreon, patreon.com/Love and Murder. If you want to be a sponsor of Love and Murder and get bonuses, case extras, commercial-free episodes, intro-free episodes, and all that jazz, now is the time to do it with our November half-off sale. You can get every single bonus that I put out for only $5 a month. Patreon.com/Love and Murder. Now, let's get into your midweek mini. On August 15th, 2024, officers from the Carter County Sheriff's Office were assisting agents from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation in serving a warrant involving a 39-year-old man named Sean David Moody. This warrant was related to abuse allegations about his developmentally disabled adult sister. So they went in to search his and his 36-year-old partner's Mikki Dee Moody's home. This all happened in Elizabethton, Tennessee. So once they were inside the home, they were looking for the developmentally disabled adult, but they found something even worse. First of all, they noticed that the living conditions were just horrendous. That's number one. And they saw that a lot of the home's outlets, the electrical outlets, were exposed. So the wires were just laying out for anybody to touch and get electrocuted. And the wires not only were exposed out of the wall, some of them were actually on the floors. Then on the floors was animal and human waste. And then officers talked about the smell, which I couldn't even imagine if you have human waste and animal waste all over the floor. Human waste? I don't even... Oof. Anyways, but that was just the beginning. You thought that was bad. That's just the beginning. In the living room, they saw a large brown storage trunk. So when investigators opened it, they saw something they weren't even expecting. Inside of the trunk were soiled blankets, a pillow, leftover food, including like a half-eaten pizza, and, quote, clothing that contained a substance consistent with blood. On top of all of that, they learned that this trunk was used to confine the couple's 7-year-old child, who was a nonverbal boy with autism. As the police were looking over the trunk, they saw signs that he had been basically kept inside the trunk for prolonged periods of time, with minimal space to move and minimal ventilation. Quote, "We found what can only be described as evidence of gross neglect. No child should ever have to live like this." This was a quote from Carter County Sheriff Mike Fraley. They found out that the 7-year-old was kept in the trunk on a regular basis, sometimes hours on end. He was only given food only while he was locked inside this trunk. And his bedding was in there too, so they fed him while he was locked in the trunk. He slept in the trunk. This bedding was unwashed. It stank of urine. And investigators noted that such confinement would have caused significant psychological and physical trauma to any child. And remember, I said this child was a nonverbal autistic child, so he couldn't even tell anybody what was going on. Mikki Dee and Sean were obviously immediately arrested, and both were charged with multiple counts, including aggravated child abuse, child neglect, and child endangerment. Sean also faced additional charges stemming from allegations of abuse against his adult sister. Now imagine you go in there for one wellness check, and you come out finding this. Wow. And then on top of that, he was neglecting his sister that he was supposed to be taking care of. So what did they have these two for? They kept the autistic son when clearly they didn't want to take care of him, and they kept the developmentally challenged sister when clearly they didn't want to take care of her. The only thing I could think of is they were getting those checks from the government to be able to take care of developmentally disabled people. And they just kept getting the checks and not even taking care of them. But then to top it off, y'all weren't even taking care of yourselves because the house was disgusting. Mikki Dee, described by neighbors as, quote, quiet but withdrawn, had no prior history of child abuse allegations. However, a lot of acquaintances told investigators that Sean had a history of control issues and tension, and that's how he ran his relationship. Also, that Sean was the complete opposite of Mikki Dee. She didn't have any prior history of child abuse allegations, but Sean, on the other hand, had a history that included drug use and aggression, and neighbors told police, quote, we hardly saw them, and when we did, it was usually Mikki. Sean kept to himself, but we knew there was something strange about their household. Both of them were booked into the Carter County Detention Center, and Mikki was released on a $75,000 bond, while Sean had a bond of $85,000, which was a combined bond for both the child and the adult, and he ended up staying in jail. Following all of this that was going on, the young boy was picked up by the Department of Children's Services and was placed in protective custody. Quote, this was one of the most severe cases of child abuse our team has ever encountered. The child in this case was subjected to conditions that were unfathomable. We are committed to ensuring that no child has to endure such trauma again. TBI Director David Rauch said, quote, the protection of our children is our utmost priority. This case highlights the need for vigilance and the unfortunate reality that abuse can happen behind closed doors undetected. We are grateful that this child is now safe and receiving the care he deserves. As of the time of this recording, the case is still going on, but during initial hearings, attorneys representing Mikki argued that she had been, quote, under psychological coercion by Sean, and she herself lacked the ability to protect her son due to, quote, manipulative control. So basically, it was all Sean. There's no blame to be had on her. Prosecutors countered these claims, saying that Mikki was equally responsible for her son's welfare and that the neglectful conditions within the home were clearly apparent. They also argued that Mikki made no effort to protect the boy or alert authorities, even as the abuse became more severe. Sean's defense team didn't make any comments, but they did say that they might try to pursue a plea deal to avoid a lengthy trial. But prosecutors said, yeah, okay, we're going to go ahead and try and seek the maximum sentence. Quote, this is a wake-up call for all of us. If you suspect abuse, you have to speak up. You might be the only chance the child has. A representative from the local Children's Advocacy Center said, quote, this child endured unimaginable suffering. We owe it to him and every vulnerable child to make sure we're doing everything possible to prevent this from happening again. Sheriff Fraley with the Carter County authorities said that there are ongoing efforts to determine whether they had missed any signs and whether any additional charges will be taken out against either Mikki or Sean. Quote, every child deserves to be safe, loved, and cared for. This child was denied all three, but we will make sure he never has to suffer again. What did you think about that case? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You heard my thoughts. My question is, should we blame both Mikki and Sean, or do you think it was just on Sean and Mikki couldn't do anything because she was being manipulated? What do you think? Do you agree with her defense, or do you agree with the prosecution? I think it was both of them. I think there was a way that Mikki could have told anybody, whether it was a neighbor, a friend, the police. It's not like he kept her holed up in the house or anything like that. So she could have told somebody. And even if he was supposedly preventing her from telling somebody, she could have kept the house clean. So I think it was both of them. So I want to know your thoughts. Do you think it was both of them? Do you think it was just Sean? I'm actually going to go ahead and put that out as a poll question. So go ahead and answer that poll or leave your thoughts in the comments below. Speaking of comments, let's go back to your comments from past Wednesday episodes. And I have some comments from the Halen Volpatti case. If you didn't listen to that case, remember that was the one where the toddler drowned in the tub while his foster mom was on the phone? If you missed that one, the link is in the show notes below. You can go back and listen to that case. Christina Bobo said, I'm happy to hear that Hulk Kai is back. Laugh out loud, because I was raging right along with you. I agree. Social workers sometimes ignore the red flags to go rescue the kids that don't need to be saved. The list that proves this is too long. And I'm thinking now, if Selena had support, why was the newborn not placed with family over strangers? Like, WTF, this shit was avoidable. I completely agree, Christina. Like, she had a village behind her. So I don't even know why they took her child from her and then gave it to somebody who has no invested interest in the child. And also had a set of toddler twins herself. Christina continues, parenthood is the most ghetto hood at times, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I love being a mother and my reward is the love for my darlings, but I also tell people to not have kids until they're ready and can fully support them. If you like to run the streets and or boo love on the phone for 90 minutes while your babies are in the bathtub, parenthood is not for you. So then in my response to the question, do you think Nova's parents should sue CPS, that department of CPS? Christina Bobo said, 25-year-old foster mom and she had 4-year-old twins? Not saying young people can't or shouldn't be foster parents if they're capable, but honestly, it's never mentioned that Halen had a husband or any support in her home, yet they took the baby from a family who could have helped to support this baby and gave her to someone who was a single parent of twins. That's what I'm saying, Christina. WT all the Fs. Christina Bobo continues, also, I didn't realize that there was a measuring stick for how long it takes someone to learn how to be a parent. Dude, my child is a teenager. I'm still learning how to be a parent. It's not something you ever fully learn. And then as I understand it, every child is different. It's like your first child might have been born very easy to take care of. And then your second child is a nightmare and you have to figure out how to take care of that child to provide for them fully without losing your mind. So parenthood is an ongoing learning process. There is no time limit on learning to be a parent. Learning certain things, yeah, because then you learn to change diapers, you get used to that. Then you move on to learn to, clean them and teach them to potty train. Certain things, yes, but parenthood on a whole, you're continuously learning for the rest of your life, even when they're out of your house. Christina continues, learning isn't linear, and they didn't even give her enough time to improve. What support options was she given before the final answer was to remove the child from her care? I hope the biological parents sue the socks off of the state of Indiana. I swear they seem to rescue the wrong kids. Then they took the baby and placed her with someone who was neglectful as fuck. I have twins, and let me tell you, when they were 4, I had to keep hands and feet on them. Laugh out loud. No way I would have left them with an infant in a bathtub for 90 minutes. Oh my God, Christina, you have twins? Look, I really wanted twins and I wanted to name them like some matchy names like Bill and Will or Jill and Will. I don't know. I can't think of any names, but something like that. But like that was my dream, was to have twins. But when I had one, I was like, oh, no, there was no way I'd have lost my mind with twins. I mean, I would have dealt with it obviously, but there was no way. There would have, woo. So wow, Christina, you have twins. Wow. Hats off to you. Anyway, Christina continues, you gotta be friggin' kidding me. The only thing that started to make me feel somewhat soft on Halen is that she turned herself in. No, frick that. Oh no, absolutely not. No, I have no softness for her. Anyway, she continues, they would have never brought charges had she not turned herself in. But pleaded not guilty hardened my heart on her again. I hope she gets 90 years, one for each minute those babies were left in that tub alone. Thank you for your transparency and revealing a glimpse of yourself with us. I remember when you said that you found the missing puzzle piece related to your mental health, which has been affecting you your entire life. I'm glad that you've learned I'm glad that you've learned this about yourself and that you don't allow it to control you. Self-accountability is something that truly escapes many people. I hope that you feel free and that this discovery opens a new level of personal understanding, growth, and release of pressure in trying to be normal. I love and adore you, Kai. Love you too, Christina. Actually, it has allowed me to stop beating myself up. Because I understand why I am the way I am and why I do certain things the way I do them. Me looking at other people and just wondering how they can be all organized or do something in a linear way or remember shit or like a bunch of stuff. Like, I don't even know how to tell you. Like, I just used to wonder why I couldn't get it together, what was wrong with me. It really did affect me. Nothing has changed in the sense of me trying to achieve my goals. I still want to be organized. I still want to, working on my business. I still want to have a successful business. All of that, what it's done is just made me be softer on myself. So if I have days, like almost every single day, I cannot just sit and work. Like that doesn't happen. If I get distracted by something, if somebody sends me one text message, I will go down a deep rabbit hole doing everything on my phone for an hour. And then I'll be like, oh my God, that was an hour you just wasted. But at least now I understand why I'm like that, instead of being like, what is wrong with you? Oh my God, you're so stupid. Why are you like this? Focus, focus, focus. So that's what's changed. It's allowed me to be softer on myself because I understand why I'm like that. But otherwise, no, I still am trying to get the episodes out on time, which again is another reason I don't always get it out on time, but I'm trying to get the episodes out on a specific time. So every day I have my goal of doing that. So every day, this is what I look forward to. But when I don't do it, I also don't beat myself up. So that's the kind of changes that has happened since I found this out about myself. And then with my forgetfulness, because you could tell me your name 2 seconds later, I don't remember your name. Like, I do not remember names. So in a way, yes, Christina, I feel free. I do have more personal understanding. I have growth in the way of, like I said, I'm softer on myself and I don't berate myself now. And it has released the pressure. I would never say I'm normal. I'm Kai. That's what I always say. I'm Kai. So I don't try to be, quote, normal, because who's normal? But my thing was I just didn't understand how I couldn't focus. Like if somebody's talking, it's really hard for me to stay focused. Like I have to make myself focus. I have to make myself not interrupt what you're saying. If you're talking and it's something that I really need, like if my friend is telling me stuff that I need to give advice on, you'll see me taking notes. If I don't take notes, I will interrupt you because I have to say what I'm going to say because 15 other things is going to pop up and I'm going to forget the important thing that I needed to tell you. So I'll start taking notes while my friends are talking and then I'll go back to each point in my notes. Or I'll completely forget what you said because 30 things popped in my head between sentence 1 and sentence 2. So it just allowed me to, again, be okay with who I am. Let me put it that way. But thank you for your comment. I was really worried about putting that out there and I told you why. But I needed to stand for that woman. I needed to really stand for her when they were talking about because of her ADHD, she can't raise kids. Like, are you serious? So that's why I put it out there. The next comment comes from the case of Veronica Youngblood. I did ask, do you think this happened because Veronica is mentally unstable or was this cold-blooded murder? Christina Bobo says, I think that Veronica ended her daughters because she knew it would hurt the father. If she was a basket case, I'm thinking that he probably was the one to initiate the divorce. This could have left her to feel abandoned and probably jaded by the fact that all he wanted was to be a father and not be with her. Her feelings of abandonment likely stemmed from her upbringing and are valid considering what was mentioned at trial. She found a man who no doubt loved her at some point because back at home, she was a street worker. He didn't just flew her out, he married her, moved her to the States, took on her child as his own, and seemingly became a wonderful father and husband. I think her sentence was too light. I basically agree with everything you just said. And also, as I understand it from reports, he was the one who initiated the divorce, but no reason was given. So if you didn't hear that case, then go ahead and click on the link in the show notes below. Also, I do have the poll results, but for some reason, Spotify isn't letting me see them. So right now, I can't go ahead and give you the poll results for these past cases. But I do compile your comments in one area so I can still read your comments. The last set of comments I have comes from the case of John Eisenman. So if you remember that case, it was the guy who said he saved his daughter from a sex trafficker, but then we had updates on that case, and it just came out that he was just a crazy lunatic. So Rothang US said he admitted that he killed the kid while high on meth. There is no evidence that there was any sex trafficking involved. So yes, Rothang, I did, if you go through all of my cases, because I came out with this case right when it dropped. Then if you go through all of my cases with the updates, I do say that police didn't find any evidence that he was on meth, nor did they find any evidence that he was a sex trafficker. So yeah, all of that already came out. So you just got to go back in through my library of episodes. And then actually, I also told Rothang that the update that said that John was high on meth when he did that actually came out on the same day that he sent me this message. That had just come out that day. It came out on November 14th, 2024. So I didn't have any updates about him being on meth, but now here's the update. John Eisenman, he was on meth when he murdered that boy that he was trying to say sex trafficked his daughter. And if you missed that case, that's in the show notes below, and I'll put the update on that in the show notes below too. The update on that it was mixed in with another episode that had another case in it, so you have to listen to that whole episode. And that is all I have for you today. Don't forget to answer that poll question. Don't forget about the Patreon sale that I do have going on. If you want all the bonuses, everything that I put out, which is bonus episodes, bonus Kai rants that I don't put on any other platform. You hear me ranting. Oh, if you want to hear me ranting about these craziness, then go to the Patreon. You also get case extras. You get videos, you get behind the scenes, you get information about my life, you get to know the host, you get to play games with me, etc., etc., etc. That is all in the Patreon. You could take advantage of that sale, $5 a month to get all of that. This sale ends at the end of November, so I would definitely take advantage of it now. And as long as you stay a lamb under that sale tier is as long as you get to keep the $5 price. Patreon.com/love and murder. But another way that you can help me, which is free and easy, is by simply sharing this episode. So we have a saying to share it with everyone you know and everyone you don't. So go ahead and share this in your text messages and in your WhatsApp with your friends and family, and then head on over to our Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. Choose a clip and share it with anybody on your social media. Everybody you know and everybody you don't. And thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.